I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings in the movies, and I'm not proud of my address.
We're not just building muscle, we're building men. In the quiet hours, in the unfiltered moments, in the conversations that happen before the world wakes up. This is The Gloom, where brotherhood forms in the dark so we can lead in the light, where vulnerability is strength and leadership is handed from man to man, one story at a time. Our mission is to empower, exhort, and inspire men to achieve their best selves through stories of reinvigorated male community leadership. We bring you weekly interviews with F3 Omaha PACs, ordinary men doing extraordinary things in fitness, fellowship, faith, and leadership, because we believe that every man has a story, and reinvigoration starts when that story is shared. This is The Glue in the Gloom. Shout out to our sponsors, Exclusively Eye Care, Major Team Mortgage, Liberty Core Real Estate, Avior Wealth Management, and Omaha Laser Dentistry. We appreciate their support. Hey, are you the type of guy that likes to get up early in the winter to battle your jester? Do you love listening to people drone on and on and on about COVID in the gloom? Would you trust your vision to a guy nicknamed Cataracts? Well, if the answer to any of these questions is yes, fellas, you have bigger problems than you think. Dr. Cataracts, aka Dr. Wolf, can't solve all of your problems, but he can certainly help you solve the problems related to your eye health and vision. You will find many F3 principles throughout his practice. Check him out today at Exclusively Eye Care. Now let's get back to the gloom.
All right.
We're doing it live.
Okay.
We're doing it live. And we're back, right, is what we like to say. But since we've been in person for a few of these now, I'm thinking we're going to just say, and we're live.
Good.
Here we are live. And I got our man Rayban in the studio at the Nomad. Looking good. We're both wearing our F3 gear.
Representing. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I've had a chance to connect with you a few times, right, down in Sarpy at the Danger Zone, and obviously you just led there as a site Q, but
Yep.
I've had some good conversations mostly about family and kids and navigating vacations, right? I think is maybe where we've landed. But for this, why don't you start us from the beginning? Like, who EH'd you? What was your first workout like? And then how'd you get the name Rayban?
Yeah. So it's kind of a long EH story, I guess. So I knew Gipper from church Bible study. And so he actually kind of planted the initial seed, but doesn't get credit for it.
Yeah.
But
Hold on one second. I'm going to move this so that you can sit.
Okay.
There you go.
Keep going then. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So Gipper kind of planted the original seed and just kept kind of giving me soft, subtle hints about F3 and what it was. But at that time I had a young kid and it was just too hard. The thought of getting up early, it seemed impossible. Had some bad sleepers. So getting up in the middle of the night and then getting up to work out, that was always the excuse, of course. But my official first F3 event actually was a Creighton basketball game. I didn't even quite realize it at the time what I was actually showing up to, but he knew I was a big Jays fan. And so they had a big thing there after Waffle House had his injury and all that. So he remember being amongst a group of guys and kind of thinking it was cool, but still I can't get up that early. And I just can't do it yet. But I think he planted that seed to kind of start it out. And then as more and more people at church got involved, and the St. Columkille group has a lot of dads there. Uncle Jesse was finally the one to kind of seal the deal. He had been kind of pushing a little bit more for it, and he knew I liked running and wasn't as much of a weightlifter or anything like that. So he convinced me to come out to the sand lot. And so I said, I can show up and run. That's not too hard. So officially started on January 5th. A winter start to things.
Wow.
So I think it was after Christmas time. I had eaten enough junk and felt bloated enough after all the snacks. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it now. So officially started January, 2.5 years ago. So
And so Sandlot, right? You showed up and went for a run.
Yep.
And so what was your initial impressions of the group?
Yeah. Well, first I was like, well, I got to run with Uncle Jesse because he's the one I really know, you know, and we've run a little bit different speeds, but I was just sticking with him. And then girl dad came by. He's like, he'll be fine. You can come run with me. Like someone else. So yeah. So I was like, well, then I ran ahead a little bit with girl dad, and then met a few other people. You know, I'm one to try to stick to my comfort zone. So like, I'm gonna stick around the guy that I know. I don't know any of these other guys really. So, but and then girl dad kind of just opened up about some of his daughter's health struggles during COVID. And I was like, wow, I barely know this guy. I kind of, know who he is from church a little bit, but not that well. So I thought that was pretty cool that you're just going on a run and even cracking the surface there, even on my first day. So it was a simple out and back route, nothing too crazy, but came back for Namarama. And I kind of knew what I was getting into because I had seen a few videos just randomly. But I think it all was kind of a blur after that all the naming process. I'm not sure exactly what all names were thrown out there. I was talking about like in fantasy football, I was getting ready to go on a trip to Vegas the next day with some friends. And then all of a sudden, I'm an optometrist. So the name Rayban, I think might have been thrown out by Schrute, or I'm not exactly sure who even got the credit for it, but, that's not too bad of a name. That'll work. I'll take it.
Do you wear Ray-Bans, or did you then? And
I actually didn't. I have some now. You gotta represent the name. Yeah. So
heck yeah,
you gotta rock the Ray-Bans around. Yeah.
Funny. I love it. And so you were running before, or what was your kind of
I was kind of
schedule like before?
Really into running. That was kind of started in college. After college, I wasn't in organized sports anymore. So, had to find something else to do. And so I think it was a good stress relief back in college to start running. So I would just kind of, at that point, just get up and run. There was no plan, just do whatever I wanted, no matter what time of the day or anything like that. But what I was doing at that time was I was working out over lunch. So I had a gym about a mile away from my office at the time. So I would go over lunch break and run as many miles as I could, depending on how busy the day was. And then, so that was my fitness, but there wasn't no fellowship involved in it. So,
and it wasn't early in the morning. So from a fitness standpoint, this was pretty easy for you to.
Not too bad. At the time, I actually had been coming off of a long stretch of injuries. So, I overdid it at one, kind of trained for a half marathon in a week's time, basically. And, was sore beforehand, knew I probably shouldn't, but wanted to do the race. And so I ran my PR in the half marathon, but then kind of paid for it afterwards. I had some hamstring, groin, knee, kind of one thing led to another
really
issue. So
wow.
That was kind of just like a slow process of PT off and on. And then met Zorro before I knew he was in F3 for some PT sessions. But, and then I think I was coming off a minor injury before then. So I was just taking it easy, but so I would say my fitness was pretty good as far as cardio goes. I had always wanted to get more into the weights and well-rounded stuff. And I'd try at the gym a little bit, but to plan out what I was going to do and to make myself do it by myself, it's just not very efficient. And
it's really hard. I'll tell you, I go to F3 3 days a week now. And this morning I did not post, and so I did some weights at home by myself, and it doesn't matter. Like it's always more challenging.
Yeah, so it's been good to get a lot more well-rounded, I'd say, with F3. So I went to that workout, and I left the next day for Vegas. So I didn't post again for a whole nother week till the Sandlot.
You didn't go try to find F3 Vegas, or
didn't at that time. No, but oddly enough, 2 guys on the trip know ICB, and so they're now joined F3, kind of a small world. But Switchfoot is one of them. And so he was like, I remember you talking about F3, and he eventually ICB got him to join too.
And now he's a Psych Q at Wild Kingdom.
Kingdom. Yep. Wow. So small world. But,
so you went to Vegas, you came back, and did you post that next week then?
So the next week on the Thursday. So I had a few days, of downtime, and then back to the run again. And I think the first time I finally went to a real actual beat down after that would be the next Tuesday at the sanitarium. So, and that was kind of humbling.
What'd you talk us through that?
So that was, so I had not pre-run yet. I hadn't got into that yet. And who was on the queue that day? I'm drawing a blank now. Oh, Squeaky Clean was on the
Oh
cue.
yeah.
And we started on the hill by the fence, and we did Bernie Sanders up the hill and Monkey Hoppers at the bottom of the hill. And
Yeah.
I remember being dead, and that was the pre thing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then went to the turf field and did like sevens in the corner. So you did 7 of one exercise all the way around, and then 14, and then 21 and 28.
wow.
And it was like Merkins and squats and burpees was one station.
Nice.
And I just remember,
boy Squeaky.
yeah. So I remember especially the burpees, especially, it was just like dying, but I wasn't gonna. I know you can modify, but I wasn't gonna do it. I was had to show that I was strong enough to make it through. But I was pretty gassed after that. That beat down. I remember it was kind of a humbling experience, but good to get a different kind of a workout in.
It's so amazing how much trust, I guess I'll say, it takes to just show up and do whatever some other guy has planned.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you're newer. I guess as you got into things, did you just like continue to kind of venture out? Were you following Uncle Jesse around, or how did you?
The first few times, I think I was kind of like, "Where are you going to be at?" Because I want to make sure I know someone, know. But and then it just was like, okay, everyone's welcoming, even if I don't know them too well. They're gonna
send you away,
or anything like that. So then I just started going more consistently, and people were so good about reaching out. I'd get texts from a few people after, saying, "Good job, good to see you this morning." And to me, that meant a lot, and that if I show up, someone's going to be there and encouraging me, which is kind of cool. Just kind of, I don't even know when I started going more consistently, but then people start talking about pre-run, and you're like, wait a second, why do we need to do that? We're already working out anyway. So
I was already gassed.
Yeah.
Now, oh man, the pre-run is just back in the old days, it was called extra credit, is what you would always see it referred to as in other regions, and then we started doing it before the workout, and it became the pre-run, and now I'm pretty sure every site, every workout in F3 Omaha has some sort of
pretty much, or you make your own even if you don't want to.
It's wild. What so as you're thinking about your physical fitness, are you back to sort of a point where you were like in your college days? Are you
I feel like I'm in better shape probably because I've before it was strictly running, so I was running pretty well, but I feel like I've built up strength a little bit more, and so I feel like my speed has built up a little bit. It's not that I'm going for any records or anything, but and then what I like, my cruising pace seems like it's lowered quite a bit, from what was hard before now is just the easy cruising pace. So I feel like I could, if I were to try to do a race someday, I feel like I could do a lot better, but we'll see if that happens down the road or not.
Have you remained free of injury, or have you
off and on a little bit? There's been a process for that too, I guess. Okay. Well, the first injury actually was at the sanitarium. We were playing football, ultimate football.
Okay.
And I dove for a ball. I think I got landed on or something, but I ended up bruising or stretching a rib or something. And that was kind of my first aha moment that maybe I'm not quite as young as I thought I was. So I tried, it was right before a farm flag pass, and I tried to go the next day, and it was just like, it was almost hurting during the pre-run, and they had the rope to climb. I was like, I can't touch that. I'm staying away. So then that kept me out for a little bit to recover from that. And that was kind of my first, a time away after I finally had got comfortable. You start to know guys, and then you're just not going all of a sudden. So that was tough. And then so part of the whole process of getting injured was I tore my meniscus. I'm pretty sure I tore my meniscus in the rehab work. I don't know for sure, but so that kind of really bothered me at one point, to the point where I was like barely able to walk on it. And remember going on a 10-year anniversary trip to the Bahamas with my M, and I was just limping around the whole way. And of course she was like, "What are you doing here? What's going on? What's
giving you a hard time?"
Yeah. So I came back from that, give it a little rest, and went back to the orthopedic doctor. And they said, it tore a little bit worse, but really it's just pain tolerance at this point. So you're not going to do any damage, which is what I needed to hear, I guess. You're not going to damage it any further. It's just more of a pain tolerance. And so I feel like one day something must have just tore just right or something, that all of a sudden the pain got a lot better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's still torn.
Torn.
It's just
yeah, just deal with it. And
you kind of feel, you can tell when it's going to rain and that
yeah,
sort of
yeah,
stuff now,
exactly.
right?
So,
Oh man.
but besides a couple bad, this one's not the greatest either. Besides a couple bad knees, I've been doing pretty good
Yeah.
health wise when I don't overdo it too much.
But you're still, I feel like I see you putting on tons of miles, right?
Yeah.
So you've figured out, like maybe your pain tolerance is
Yes,
increased.
maybe I just got a better pain tolerance. I don't know, but
the-
yeah. So
yeah.
I've kept up pretty good with it, and yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's
So
awesome. So you feel like you're more well-rounded today, it sounds like. Have you had to do anything in terms of like diet? Like have you done queen service or any of that stuff, or how do you do on that?
not really. That's always been my biggest weekness. I feel like is that's why I run is because I eat like crap all the other time. But there's a channel on WhatsApp, a nutrition channel that I don't really I don't really participate in that much, but you kind of see other guys talking about it and you get some ideas that plant the seed. But overall, not too much different on the nutrition. I feel like getting up early, I'm less likely to just sit around and have a couple beers at night beforehand. You know, in that regard, that's been good for me. So
helps for sure. Yeah.
Even if it's just I'm just too tired to want to have a beer, it's a good thing because then I'll get a little bit more sleep and have one less beer and
yeah.
Been beneficial in that regard, I guess.
It's interesting. And I like for my own journey, I'm right there with you. I'm like, okay, I need to run because I know I'm going to eat poorly. Instead, I should probably be figuring out how to adjust what my intake, but it never fails.
If I could just control that. So yeah.
They say it's every 6-pack's made in the kitchen. Well, talk me through, as you're thinking about, so you showed up, you got Uncle Jesse, and you mentioned like girl dad, right? Kind of opening up, getting vulnerable early on. How long did it take you to start building some of those other relationships? Or I guess, because you knew some guys from church, but maybe not
well. Didn't really know, but talk us through that. Well, I'm just kind of one to be hesitant about anything to begin with. So I think the night before my first post, I could barely sleep because I was just nervous about, fitting in or accepting me and all that. And so I don't know when it was exactly. I think just like a month or two in, people just were reaching out and texting me. And I guess it made me feel a lot more comfortable that even if I didn't know who was going to be there, someone was going to be there to work out with. And even if I didn't know him that well, we could.
Were you weirded out? So this is I've heard this concern from guys that are like, well, I don't want to just send a text to a guy I just met because he's gonna wonder how I got his number. And before PaxNet, like we just had this like spreadsheet. But was it were you like, how'd you get my number or that?
No, I think that it was maybe a couple of people had given me a heads up or asked for my number just to follow up on. But no, I guess I thought I liked it just because it was kind of confirmation that this is what I should be doing. Then got to realize that there's a lot of people around church and school that I do like. I see that guy. I don't really know him too well, but I've gotten to have a lot of good friends out of the deal and see people that are on kids sports teams and my kids' grades. That it's just been kind of a great fellowship experience for sure. And so didn't take long before I think Schrute and Swiper were asking me about VQ, and I just came in with the perspective like I'm just going to show up and I'm going to work out and I'm not going to get real involved, but I just need a workout in, and it hadn't even crossed my mind. But then the fact that they even just asked or mentioned it was like, well, I guess maybe this is something I could do. So
how'd that go? Do you remember your VQ?
It was at the Sandlot because that was my comfort zone at the time. And it was, took a lot. I got a lot of crap for planning, the out and back route. But, the reason I did the out and back is just because it's a good one when you have people of different speeds that, someone can go as far as they want or as short as they want and you end up at the same time, same place. So we just did a simple out and back on Lincoln Road. And I remember Cataract showed up for him. I know him through the optometry world. So he doesn't live anywhere close to Sarpy. So that was kind of cool that he made an appearance and there was a good showing. So I ran with Cataracts most of the time because I hadn't talked to him in a while.
Did you guys go to school together or?
Just had cross paths through leadership and optometry and at the end of school and into the Nebraska Optometric Association. So
he's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, he's kind of a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And then I remember my VQ being right after Easter. I had been in Arkansas with the in-laws for the holidays. So I drove back the whole day beforehand. So I had some good time to kind of
plan it out or
to think through things as I'm driving 9-10 hours on the road. But, my my message for the COT was just kind of about showing up. Like was searching for things online. 90% of success is just just showing up, and that was so true because you put so much worry into you know is it going to fit in? Am I going to fit in? Am I going to know anyone? And then just showing up one time is all I needed for it to kind of sink in. Like, yeah, this is pretty cool deal. And so just encouraging others and show up in whatever area of their life, whether it was work or something else. I do a lot of worrying about things before just following through. If you just would, say yes, show up and follow through, it makes a big difference.
Yeah. It's amazing. Like how simple, but how profound like that is once you realize it, cause you can kind of start to like trip over yourself trying to control or plan or think of all the options. So it's like, there's some level of like planning that's good and healthy and whatever, but then like just to take the plunge and go do it. What I would be curious, one of the things we think about or we hear about, and wait time just had mentioned this the other day, but like we're now seeing things reported as like deaths of despair, right? So like men that are dying from, basically loneliness, sad clown syndrome, but like drug addiction or suicide, some of those things. When you think about yourself and sort of what it has done for you as a man, just to have all these friends, I don't know, any thoughts there?
Yeah, I'd say it's done a lot. Actually, I didn't realize. I mean, I knew had some loneliness there because I was, my wife's from out of state. We moved back, got married, and had kids right away, basically. And even though I had a few college friends because I went to school at Creighton in town, you kind of get hit different stages of life, and so you don't really have like a group of guys to hang out with anymore. And so I've done a lot of reflection since joining F3. I guess I didn't realize how lonely I was maybe beforehand until after the fact, or just how just closed in I'm just kind of keeping things to myself in general. And so, you hear other people's COTs opening up about things, and it's still hard for me. It's been a long journey, but I think that it's really helped me try to self-reflect more. So I don't know what I'm trying to say, I guess, but just kind of feeling that anxiety over, again, showing up to something or being fear of rejection. I'm kind of what if they say no, that type of thing. Growing up, I probably missed out on things just because I was afraid that there was going to be that no there instead of just asking someone, wouldn't even ask someone to do something because I'm afraid they're going to say no type of a thing. So you hear guys going to counseling and things like that, which, you always think it's not for me. I'm above that. And so roundabout way, I started going to this Jesuit over at Creighton, kind of meet once a month, kind of some spiritual direction, not exactly counseling, but kind of the same thing essentially. But it's helped me kind of realize things about myself that I just didn't even want to think about before. I was really involved in school all along, and I kind of realized that, yes, I enjoyed doing it, but it was really, I'm just going to be involved in as much as I can. And then I don't have to think about anything else. So that if I'm always doing something, I never have to just sit in my own thoughts and think on them. So now looking back on it, so now I'm involved in things, but more, not just
more intentional.
Yeah, more intentional. And so F3 has kind of become that over time. Like,
that's really cool.
Yeah.
I love that. And I appreciate you sharing that. It is one of these things where I'm sure many of us either have or are currently suffering with some symptoms of loneliness, but that's not a term, at least like I'm not comfortable being like, I was lonely, even though looking back, like I know I was, and then the mental health thing is something that I hope we are really, as a group in F3, having an impact on just teaching guys that like, we all need some level of help. Right. And so it's like, don't feel bad. Tell me a little bit more. This is just like a person in the church that's sort of in a leadership role that you can just sit down and kind of talk.
Just kind of talk through how things are going or what's bugging me at the time, or just nothing real formal or anything.
More of like a mentor
kind of a mentor type of thing.
That's
so
super cool.
Just kind of happened to stumble across it at some point in time, and that was another, like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. Just gonna show up and see what happens, and then have kept it going. But so yeah, it's been good for me. I had a milestone birthday recently, and when I talked to my COT then, I was just thinking like when I was younger, I thought by 40, I was everything was going to be like all figured out, and I'm just starting to figure things out now. It's kind of if I would have known back then what I know now, you know. You thought that you'd have life figured out. And
so you just turned 40?
Just turned 40, yeah. Okay.
I got 40 coming up in December, and I'm with you. I don't know that, like, my life is a mess, right? Compared to what I was hoping it would be. Well, you know,
it's gonna have it all figured out.
Yeah, I thought I'll have the perfect plan and I'll just be coasting, right? But that's not how it goes.
Yeah.
What so thinking about just all of the different relationships or different guys that you've met, how have you gotten in a shield lock, or you found things to sort of deepen some of those friendships, or how is that going?
Not a shield lock per se, but got involved in a market to market relay team last year, just kind of out of circumstance. KOA couldn't fill his team. He had a conflict. And so we last minute got a team of 8 of us together, and it's kind of turned into almost like a shield lock. We have a year-long text thread going and just it's always have the banter going back and forth. And so yeah, let's see, Girl Dad and Baby Shark and Ear Tag, Bunny Slope. I'm gonna forget someone now, but Red Ranger. So didn't know him too well, you know, ahead of time, but you get to know these guys better. And Swiper was on the team as well. But yeah, so we just have this kind of always have this text thread going, and it's got, you know, where you showing up at, who's gonna run early today, or so it's been a really good friendships have developed out of that. And
that's super cool.
Yeah. So
are they going to let KOA back in, or you've taken his?
We got to find out. We're going to make our own. So KOA gets his team back, but now we made another team for, we renewed it for the next year. So we're going to keep it going if we can.
So now you'll have 2 teams.
2 different teams. Yeah, exactly. So, so it's been it's kind of like a shield lock per se, because lots of different, like I said, lots of banter fun, or if someone needs some advice on something, it'll throw it out in the chat. So yeah, it's been great to have that as an option.
You know, in our world, we're so like texting is just the way we communicate. So I have found, you know, like some shield locks, right, will get together or they meet in person, but I have found too, like just that in the moment, like just talk me off the ledge, being able to shoot a text to a group of guys and have them be like, you know, you're fine, or call me or whatever, you know, depending on what's going on. I mean, there is some value.
Or, or I was just going to sleep in just because it was, and not that I couldn't, but 5 of these guys are going to this place tomorrow. Well, I better show up actually.
Kind of get you out. What, you know, the other kind of area within fellowship, we talk about like the concentrica, right? Other relationships in your life. And you mentioned your you've got some shorties, but talk us through, like, would love to hear like how many kids you have, ages, gender, that sort of thing.
Yeah, we have 3 kids, 10, 8, and soon to be 6. Okay. So next week we got a 6-year-old, and so he'll be entering kindergarten. We'll have all 3 kids in the same school starting in the fall. Nice. So that'd be kind of a cool experience. So they've really enjoyed kind of watching the F3 stuff from afar too, and just
your boys, girls mix.
Oh yeah, so oldest is a girl, and then 2 boys. So girl, boy.
Have you brought any of them out to 2.0 stuff?
We have been to a couple 2.0 beatdowns, and they've loved it. We're usually out of town with family for holidays, so usually a lot of them around holidays. So made a couple though. We have Butterfly is the girl, 10-year-old, and then Road Trip would be the middle one. And then the little one likes Star Wars, so he got to basically choose his own name. He's C-3PO. So
nice. They didn't give him like other optometry.
No,
other sunglass name.
I won't
Aviator
make them stay in that realm. They can do that later on if they want.
I love it.
So that's been fun.
How do you think, as you think about like F3 and then kind of your family, have you noticed any impact that maybe F3 has had on those relationships at home?
Yeah, I think I've just try to become more self-aware of living for the family. Not that I wasn't before, but I think she's seen the growth that I've had. She's got a little love-hate relation, but you know, she wishes I wouldn't do it quite as often, you know, but she's worried about the injuries coming back and all that. But I think that I just get you just hear people talking about things during beat downs or COTs, and you're like, well, I may try that out, or just you, oh yeah, I should get off my phone more, and
Yeah.
value your time more, and just I think that just become more aware of, or man, I need to put the phone down, or I need to stop doing this, and it kind of just makes you think of it maybe a little faster than you used to, and
Yeah.
so,
It's tough when we've got all these different, Slack and WhatsApp and Twitter and all the, you're like, what I got to send a pre-blast, honey, and I think it's interesting back kind of in the early years that Dread and Dark Helmet put a podcast out about like F3 almost becoming like a mistress, because you can sort of get all in, and then, it sometimes will cause us to not focus correctly on our family. But I think so. How many days a week are you able
I'm
to go?
usually about 4 to 5 days a week. Yeah, so it's been built. I didn't start off that way, but so it's now it doesn't seem like a workout without the pre-run. So so it's just pre-run or pre-run, depending on
who's out
what
there.
crazy idea Farva has, or someone Red Ranger's getting up earlier. So, so it's so I've been pretty consistent lately with the kids are getting a little more self-sufficient. I mean, they sleep a little bit better in the morning. It makes me not have that guilt that I'm away as long, but still try to balance as best as I can. So.
Yeah, I've got some early risers at home, so if I'm out at a workout, that means everybody's getting up early. So.
I think my wife loses a little sleep because of that with the little guy, but so
you work through it.
Yeah.
I would be curious too, as you're thinking about just kind of other relationships, right? You've got this mentor that's through Creighton, you said, right? And then you've got all these guys around town. I mean, do you feel like it sounds like you do? You have basically just like this huge support system. Is that
I think it's definitely there if I want to take advantage of it for sure. I if I wanted to reach out to someone, I easily could. So if I don't, the only thing that's stopping it is myself. So so it's just good to have people all around that you can feel comfortable around and know you're going through some of the same things. And sometimes you have stress in your life, and if you don't have those kind of people around, you feel like you're the only one going through that, and no one else is struggling with any of these things. So whether it's church or sports or just at the store, you're always running into an F3. Dad, is that an F3 guy? Usually is. But so it's been great to have that as a.
What as you think about, so you mentioned that would you consider, do you feel like you're more introverted, or you're just maybe more
probably a little more
a processor,
a little bit more introverted, probably a little bit of both. I have kind of get that FOMO feeling. I want to be involved in everything, but at the same time too scared sometimes to get involved. That's kind of what I came from. So a little bit of both, but more introverted, I would say. And
how would you, as guys are coming into the group, if somebody else maybe identifies with that sort of same mentality or approach, what sort of advice, like how do they
I would say
break into the group or get involved in it
as the new packs, you're saying? I mean, just be yourself, I guess, would be the main thing. Don't try to be anyone you're not, because you're not going to develop any relationships that way. From the other guy's side of it, I feel like just the power of an invitation can go a long ways. I mean, some people it's easy just to show up but it's sometimes just one person inviting you or saying, hey, I'm going to be here, you want to show up, that can go a long ways if it's someone that maybe isn't as comfortable stepping out into their new ground. And so
it's, we've got this powerful tool with PaxNet, right? And so we have people's phone numbers. I've just what sort of my mentality is, because you'll be going through the day, you'll drive by something, see a truck that looks like some guy, and then you kind of think about, oh, I wonder what that guy's doing. And so I've just always taken that as a moment to like send the text right then and there, just say, hey, thinking about you, hope you're doing well, or and I think just continuing to connect that way, it's really just a special thing.
It does go a long ways. I've had a few people when I was Psych Q at Danger Zone tried to, if there was a new guy, I'd try to remember that, because I remember how much of an impact it had on me. And, so just a quick little message, it can go a long ways. I
love it. Well, talk us through. So I know you you said kind of when you started, or it sounds like you went to college at Creighton,
Mhm.
right? So I want to get your thoughts from a third F perspective. Kind of what's your journey been like? Would love to hear kind of, is that part of your life growing up? And then kind of the other thing, would love to hear like, has there been anything in F3 that you think has maybe helped or supplemented, added to your faith?
Yeah, I was cradle Catholic growing up, so I was
Okay.
born and raised
Yeah.
Catholic, and as always,
Yeah.
um, mom's a first grade teacher at a Catholic school in my
Okay.
hometown, still is.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's always been
Where are you from?
O'Neill,
Okay.
a small
Okay.
town, small
Yeah.
Catholic school in town, and
Nice.
so yeah, went to Catholic school. Actually, optometry school was the first time I didn't go to a Catholic school because I went to Creighton for undergrad
Yeah.
as well.
Because they
But
didn't have one. Did you look for one?
they
And
didn't
they
have, well, I don't know, maybe they do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not the main focus, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's always been a part of my life. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just um Sunday mass every week, of course, is always a staple. And even going off to college, it's easy for some people to, kind of stray away. And I guess I always kind of, the perfectionist in me is like, I always
Mhm.
gotta make it to Sunday mass, even, no matter how the weekend went or
Yeah.
how terrible I felt,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna do this. And so I think when you have to choose for yourself, it really helps you grow in your faith a lot more than doing it
Yeah.
because mom or dad says so. Or yeah, so there's
Yeah.
nothing that was making me go at that time. So I feel like I could.
How did you, I guess, do you remember, and maybe, I don't know if you remember at the time, but what do you think sort of prompted you, or how did you make that decision? Because I think a lot of guys, like, when you get to college, your parents aren't nudging you to go, and you sort of say, "Well, I'm going to not go then." But you stayed involved. How did you?
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit of at first was guilt, and
Oh
that,
yeah,
or even
okay.
just like,
Old Catholic guilt.
yeah, a little
Yeah,
Catholic guilt doesn't hurt anyone.
yeah,
And
yeah.
whether that be, from family or even just, maybe I had too much to drink over the weekend and I need to kind of
Feeling
set
that. Yeah,
things right. And I think that always just in the back of my mind just kept me
yeah,
wanting to stay on the right track.
yeah,
And no matter what bad decisions I made, yeah, just it always kept me grounded close enough that
yeah.
couldn't stray too far away. So
I love it.
just yeah,
That's
so
important.
having to make the decision for myself, I think was the
Yeah,
biggest just things that gets you going and gets you stronger in your faith.
yeah. What I would be curious when you think about the community, right? So you've got a lot of guys from your church that are also in F3. What is that dynamic like? I've always wondered that. Like, I hear the number of guys that, because you're at St.
St.
Columcille.
Columco, yeah.
Yeah. So I've heard like there's a ton of F3 guys that
Yeah.
go there. And sometimes I look at my church and I'm like, man, if I could just get all these guys in F3, it would just be, we'd be blown up with, invigorated male community leaders. But what's it?
Oh, it's great. Yeah. I mean, any Sunday mass or church event, there's always guys around, and usually oftentimes we'll call each other by F3 names. And I guess
Yeah.
sometimes you don't want to like rub it in. I don't know. You don't want to be
Right.
like, yeah, we're part of F3, and but
Right.
we're always trying to get more people to come along. And
That's how you EH guys.
yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Make them feel.
Look at all those F3
Yeah.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys all sit together at Sunday mass.
Not all the time, but you can look around mass
And see
and,
them all,
kind of
yeah.
find people.
I love it.
My Em and I did this program they had, this alpha program, and we had a small group, and we were actually kind of the older
Oh,
people, which
okay.
usually we're with the older people. So we were the older people of the group with a bunch of younger people with us. And so that was kind of cool just to
Yeah.
get to know that. And I just, of course, F3 came up in passing here and there. And so one of the guys in my group ended up joining F3, Utter. And
Nice.
yeah, so he's like, that was the best part about this church group was joining F3.
Yeah,
And so,
there you
yeah,
go.
it's been kind of cool. Just, I wasn't pushing it on anyone, but someone just needs to hear that and know it's available. And
Right.
a few weeks later, they're showing
It
up.
was out there. Oh, I love it. What do you, when you think about your faith and just, the fact that you've maintained or continued to grow in your faith, why is it so important to you? What would you say if somebody wanted to learn more?
I mean, you got to live for something other than yourself, I guess. And I'm not perfect by any means,
Yeah.
but I guess if you're only living for yourself,
Yeah.
what is the purpose of life? I guess there's got to be something bigger to live for out there. So,
Yeah.
and I guess just being brought up so strongly
Mhm.
in the faith, that just has stuck with me. And, yeah, just, you got a bigger purpose than going to work every day
Yeah.
and having a job and all that. So
Yeah. I love it.
yeah.
And you're raising your kids in the Catholic Church. How's that going?
It's going well. They kind of the boys tend to get a little restless in mass,
Right.
and
Yeah.
oh, we have to go today,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that's how I was a lot of the time growing up. So
Yeah.
you try to make it not seem like a punishment or a forcing of them to there, and they're always, even if you don't think they're hearing stuff, they're probably hearing more than you
Yeah.
really think. So yeah, it's just, my wife was born and raised Catholic as well, so it's been easy for us since we've both been in the
Yeah.
faith, I guess, to stick with that. I know sometimes people are from different faiths and it's not that easy and that simple, but
Yep.
my dad, actually, his dad, my grandpa, was a Methodist minister, and so after he married my mom, then he converted to Catholicism.
Okay.
So there's been he had a different perspective on things, but yeah, it's always been Catholic for me. So I guess maybe having one message, same message all along, instead of hearing different things from all different perspectives. I mean, it's good to have different perspectives, but getting that same central message all the time helps.
On the same page and helping to kind of drive. Yeah, no, I love that. I think, it's been interesting. I didn't grow up in the church, my wife did, and we're at a Lutheran church, so Catholic light, right? Is kind of like what people call that. But it's interesting because there's some like historical stuff that she grew up that she's like, well, this is what kids in the Lutheran church do, and I'm sort of like, well, it's weird to me. Like I didn't grow up doing any of that. And so like, we'll be sitting in church some Sundays and I'm like, why are we even here? Because we've got, the baby's crying. The 3-year-old is throwing a fit about, the crayons or something. Yeah. And then the 9-year-old is rolling her eyes because she doesn't, it's just,
did we get anything out of today?
Yeah. Like, well, we were there. We got communion maybe that day, but
But I think F3 in that regard, even, it's great to have people from all different faiths, and what a lot of Catholics, me especially, are not good about maybe outwardly showing our faith all the time. And so that's been kind of cool to see people, just prayers at the end of workouts. Even something as simple as just praying out loud isn't something I had done a ton, or I don't feel comfortable with going into it. So just to see that every day in a workout is pretty cool, and kind of strengthens your faith a little bit, just getting everyone's different perspective on things. And
how would you say, do you feel like that's kind of helped your faith grow a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just it doesn't have to be I don't have to keep it to myself, I guess. And this, again, just a slow work in progress, but trying to live out your faith more instead of just showing up to mass is great, but it's not really what's ultimately gonna make a difference. You actually have to live out your faith, and praying out loud can be a good thing, and someone's going to hear what you say. And I still don't feel comfortable doing it a lot, but not that I'm forced to do it, but I'm going to do it because I'm leading the workout that day. And so it helps to step outside your comfort zone, or you can pass it off to someone else. But I'll force myself to do it myself if I'm cueing.
I like praying out loud, but I also, when I cue a workout, I love to, and maybe I shouldn't do this, but I kind of like to catch somebody off guard and like ask them to pray and then just see what they say. And a few times I've had guys be like, I've never prayed out loud, and I don't know. To me, I think that's one thing that we do in F3 that it's just not that common for guys to be in a group and pray.
Right. Yeah.
And I think even whether you go to church or not, I think it's just a good thing to, kind of practice. But
and just offering up intentions at the end. I don't usually offer up a lot, but even if you're that one day you're like, I need to say something about this, it's kind of cool to have an outlet for that. Or
heck yeah. I'm always amazed at the prayers, and maybe you felt this way too, but like whatever was on my mind when I showed up to that workout, somebody will throw a prayer out there that just slaps me in the face with like, okay, my stuff is not a big deal. It just like helps me really put things in perspective, which I appreciate for sure.
Yeah, definitely grounds you for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of people going through a lot of stuff, and it helps you put things into perspective.
What's it like to love your dentist? Well, you're about to find out, where healthy smiles go beyond your teeth. No drilling, no needles, and no anxiety. Relax, it's Omaha Laser Dentistry. Welcome to Better. At Omaha Laser Dentistry, Dr. Bullenparty uses the Solea laser, a CO2 laser that's used in all of his day-to-day patient care. He provides thorough exams, assessments, and treatments for things like snoring, tethered tissue, and extractions like wisdom teeth, as well as other surgeries. Check them out today at omahalaserdentistry.com. Discounts may be available for F3 Omaha members. So the other kind of side of this third F piece is kind of like community service, which I think, obviously related, but we do a lot of third F type of stuff. Have you been able to get involved in any of that?
A little bit. Kids' schedules obviously make that more difficult. The biggest one I would say is the giving blood. I'd given blood a couple times, and just kind of when you don't have something going on or you don't have it scheduled, it's easy just to say, well, I'll just do it next time. But when it's every 2 months, it's scheduled, and if you're there, you can do it. I've gotten pretty consistent unless I'm out of town. Giving blood, which is pretty cool. So
where are you at on do you win those?
I don't try to win. Okay, I'm at around the 5-minute mark or so. So I'm not bad, but I don't want to blow out a vein or anything, so go fast enough, but I'm not trying to set any records or anything.
You realize some of the consequences.
Yes. So I'll go, I'm more likely to finish out a run on a sprint and go try to get the bloodletting award. But
I love it. It is really cool to see, and I forget the number of lives that it was translated to, but essentially the number of pints into lives that we've been able to impact or save is like in the thousands.
It's amazing, and you don't realize how big of a difference that just something giving up 20 minutes of your time for just to run down there and do it. It's a huge
deal.
And I guess I did the Christmas toy drive. One year I was able to do that, scheduled allowed. So we brought our 2.0s, my M and 2.0s, all went and did the shopping for that. Nice. So at the Walmart, which is pretty cool for them to see, because Christmas time they're always making their lists, right? And
picking out
what
toys
do I
for
want?
Kid
So I think that was good for them to see, and loaded up the truck with however many thousands of dollars worth of stuff. That was pretty cool, and weren't able to do it last year, but that was a cool thing. All the different things you get involved in. It's amazing, actually.
Well, and that's to me what I think is so helpful, because I mean, just that, and shout out to the guys that do a lot of that coordination, because it takes a lot of work to contact these organizations, to schedule the time, and to actually get something put together to serve. Is it's not as easy as just going down the street and showing up. But what as you think about kind of our mission, right? So we're invigorate male community leadership, right? Is what we're trying to do within F3. I think we're doing a great job, but we kind of do that through like your VQ, or we just give you leadership opportunities, and obviously leading a site is one of those. But talk us through, like, from a leadership standpoint, how do you feel like F3's maybe helped you grow as a leader?
Yeah, definitely gave me more confidence just in myself, and reaching out to people. I mean, it's not hard work at all, but you're asking people to queue the site, and you're keeping things organized for the site. So I think that just reaching out and getting people on the schedule is a simple thing, but it's depending on where you're at in your leadership. I mean, just something like that. Sometimes I just wouldn't send a text to people. Like before F3, it's just like, I just won't send a text and ask them. But people don't really say no. Everyone is willing to help out. And I tried to keep the schedule about a month ahead or so, and not really fill it too far out, because you never know who might be new and wanting to do a VQ. Or I think I ran into you at the farm one time and said, hey, I don't actually see you around that often. Do you ever want to come down to
I was honored. And I'll queue. I used to just put my name on there. And now since then I've learned, that was probably 2-3 years ago. And now I'm like, okay, I'll only queue when I get asked, but I don't get asked to queue very often because there's so many guys. I think that's why. But it was an honor to be able to come and lead down there. And what a great site.
It's been a great site. Yeah. It's just got lots of good real estate around there. Pre-run around the lake is a great option. Yep.
And you get the lights turned on the field if you need to.
Pretty much every time. Rooney, shout out to Rooney for always getting the lights on.
Yeah.
I lucked out because actually there's going to be some renovations on the field this summer. So
you don't have to do it.
Leave it in the hands of someone else. Sorry, Fresh Prince. But there's so many good options. Other fields. There's a new Vietnam Memorial not too far away that people have utilized. You can get lots of different steps or dips and things like that around there. So there's really cool. You can always use Walnut Creek area. So you could basically just get anything there, as much real estate as you would want. And
so you mentioned kind of this gain of confidence. What else do you feel like leading a site? Do you feel like, as you look back at that experience, were there things that you would do differently, or things that you thought went really well, or kind of curious, like any advice out of all that for guys
Um,
that are leading now?
I know a lot of places have like awards and
Yeah.
different things
Yeah.
they give out, and that's been done at the danger zone before. It wasn't
Yeah.
done before me. So I thought about doing that, but then I just kind of decided to keep it as
Yeah.
is.
What did they call the award at the
The
Danger?
Top Gun, I think it was.
Oh,
Yeah, they
okay.
used to give out nice coins.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I don't know. I guess I kind of just figured there's one of these almost every day that
Yeah.
we don't have to be doing something every day,
Yep.
but really just make it your own and,
Yeah.
or, you know, run it how you want to. And as long as you're doing that and you're getting cues on the schedule and, um, the site kind of runs itself. It really wasn't too
Yeah.
tough of a job, but I kind of liked having the flag. You kind of have some pride in the flag as you plant it at all the different sites that you go to, and I helped with one of the CSOPs a little bit too. So that was, I can't remember if that might have been right before my time as site Q, but I guess that was kind of a cool experience as well, getting to work with other. I don't branch out of Sharpie too often, so that was a good to get me out of Sharpie a little bit, and that was one of the most memorable. Some of the worst weather days ended up being the most memorable days, and that planning for the CSOP was one of them. Is a terrible blizzard that some people didn't even make it to. I just remember being head to toe and snow paint.
Was that at the Danger Zone?
That one was actually the next year at the Gretna East. So it was. I mean, people were clearing off snow, worried that we'd have enough space, and climbing through snow piles during the planning of that. So that was pretty memorable. Site Q, I guess there's days that I probably wouldn't have shown up and woken up if I wasn't the site Q there, which was kind of cool to have the experiences in the blizzards. And I think it was hailing on a pre-run one day, and I guess I could have chosen to close the site down, but just showing up was kind of fun. There's always a few people there. I felt bad, and I talked a guy into having a VQ. He'd been hesitant for a while, and he finally set it up, thinking, "Oh, March is going to be fine weather-wise," and his VQ was on a blizzard, he was helping clear snow out of the driveway.
You have to cancel it, or
no? We had it. There's double-digit people there, so on a blizzard day, it was pretty fun, and that was pretty memorable as well. So
that's awesome.
I guess thinking through that, what am I going to do if weather's too bad? I mean, just things you don't think about. Had one time a site queue overslept, and so always being ready. I kind of was caught off guard that day, and I was thinking, oh, what am I going to do now? And Baby Shark stepped in, and I'm gonna figure something out. I haven't queued for you yet, so I'm gonna queue for you today, and that was kind of cool before I could even get something planned for the day. So
that's awesome.
Someone's always there to help you out when you need it to.
Yeah, it's kind of this lesson of just like, if you like have some sort of plan or be prepared, but then let things kind of happen as they do. What, as you're talking through this, I'm thinking about the irony that when you first started, you didn't like getting up early, and then you took over a 5:15.
Yeah, I know it's crazy. I used to avoid the 5:15 sites and try to look for which ones have 5:30 as an option, and now I kind of don't like the 5:30 sites because then it takes away my coffee time. And then. So the 5:15s are more my favorite now, and the pre-run and all that.
That's funny. I love it. We made you not only joined F3, but we changed you.
I never would have thought in a million years. I was a night owl for sure, and I still don't get enough sleep. But just that camaraderie keeps you coming back and being in real good shape and all that just makes you want to keep coming back, even though the hours are early. And but it's just part of the. Once you get out of bed and get going, that's all it takes to make that decision to go forward.
When, as you're thinking about, so this has been awesome just to kind of hear you kind of lay out your story, but I would be curious, is there anything else that we haven't covered that you maybe think like, man, this is something that would be really important for guys to know as they're thinking about maybe life lessons that you've learned, or just other advice that you might have, challenges you've been through, anything else kind of in that space that you want to get off your chest, maybe that other guys could learn from?
I was just thinking back to some of my cues that I did. My 1-year anniversary in November of my first year, I did the queue, and it was a year after we had a miscarriage, and
Oh.
we had 3 kids without any problems, and then we had
Mhm.
short pregnancy that ended early,
Yeah.
and it was a lot harder on my wife than me,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah, we've talked about that. Yeah.
looking back on it, actually, it was what was most humbling or embarrassing myself is I wasn't able to be emotionally available to her.
Mhm.
So, and I only realized that more because of F3 and what the
Sure.
changes I've started to try to think about outside of myself. So, um, I wish I could go back and change how I acted before that, but it was kind of humbling, just like being able to be emotionally available for someone else
Yeah.
and kind of not make it about you
Mhm.
and I kind of you move on, but and you think everything's fine, but realizing that they haven't moved on, so
Yeah.
that I guess that was a something that was good to look back on. You wish you could have acted differently during it, but so and then I was talking about that at COT, and then you have a bunch of
Mhm.
guys come up to you afterwards, like, "Oh, I've been through the same thing,"
Yeah.
and
Yep.
so, but I guess just a work in progress again, always
Yeah.
getting, but just being emotionally available and
Yeah.
not closing in on yourself is a good skill to have, and it's what's F3's probably given to me more than anything.
Heck yeah.
Trying to slowly work my way up through that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, man, I love that you shared that. And in particular, like miscarriages, that is to me something that is so prevalent, but at least before F3, I never heard guys talking about it. And I think a lot of that is like we don't really know how to respond or what,
right.
like how do we be emotionally available? Because like for us, like or at least for me, when my wife and I had a miscarriage, I was sort of like I was sad because now we lost a child and we weren't going to be adding to the family, but I didn't feel it the same way my
Right.
wife did, right? Because she's got this thing growing inside of
Mhm.
her, and so the emotional connection even for her was much deeper. And it
Yeah.
just as men, I think the more we can talk about that stuff and teach each other or learn from each other, like how do we even be emotionally available? I remember talking to you about that on a pre-run, and I think it's just we don't talk about this enough. So I appreciate you sharing
Yeah.
that.
So yeah, just sometimes the COTs write themselves when you're. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes it's just
Yep.
you're queuing at a time when
Yep.
something has to be happening, and
Yeah.
it writes itself. Or other times, I would look online just for some inspiration,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
you kind of just that's sometimes the most reading I do is looking
Yeah.
online for some
For the COT.
ideas, and
Yeah.
yeah, so
Heck yeah.
I found this one about kind of embracing the imposter syndrome. So you kind of like
Oh
act
yeah.
like you're an imposter. You feel like you're an imposter, and you're trying everything to be perfect,
Yeah.
and you're things don't seem like they're even though you're achieving high on the outside inside you still kind of feel
Yeah.
like you're not achieving things, and it was talking about embracing that, and if you're uncomfortable it's actually a good thing because
Yeah.
that means you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, and if you're not uncomfortable then it's not a good thing because you're just
Yeah.
kind of keeping everything inside. So I guess the F3 is just kind of helps you discover a lot about yourself
Yeah.
and
More than
connect
you
with
wanted to
yeah,
know,
exactly,
right? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love that too. And that's kind of like sad clown syndrome. And I would just tell people, I mean, I think, and I don't know if you felt this way too, but trying to always impress other people or that imposter syndrome, it gets really exhausting and
Yeah.
then it wears on you mentally and physically. And I think for me, that's one of the things I'm grateful for through my addiction. God really like accelerated me through that because I mean I was living 3 different lives, and he's like, you got to cut out these other two and just be this
Yeah.
guy. And once you allow yourself to do that, it's so freeing. And then it almost seems like you have more capacity because you were spending so much time
Yeah.
before, like,
Exhausting. Just
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I love it, and this has been so cool. I think I would just encourage guys, get out there on a pre-run next to you and be open, ask questions. I think every time we've been able to pre-run and
Yeah,
we've
it's
had some
great.
good
Yeah.
conversations. And then I got a picture when your family just adopted a dog, which I
We
didn't ask
actually
you
got
about
yeah, we
that.
actually had to get rid of the dog.
Oh
But
no!
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
That was actually maybe a growth step as well. It just
yeah,
wasn't working out right. And
yeah.
so
Okay,
so yeah, we tried it out and it didn't
okay.
quite work
A
out. But
temporary. You were foster parents
yeah,
maybe for a
exactly. So
while. Yeah.
for a little
Oh,
while.
yeah.
We decided that yeah, it wasn't gonna work out.
Okay. Well,
But
so let me ask you this:
yeah.
where we kind of like to land. Where do you currently need prayer, support? encouragement? If guys see out there anything they should follow up with you on?
Just know your limits, I guess. I mean, you don't have
Yeah.
to. I mean, if things are not feeling well, it's okay to take a break, which is hard to do. That's probably the hardest thing to do, is to take a break right now.
Yeah.
And just that I pray that I can be the best husband, dad that I can. Focus on others instead of myself more, and
Heck yeah.
and then that'll help me out more than anything. So
Heck yeah.
yeah.
I love it. Well, yeah, same. Pray those prayers for me too. When the weather gets nice, you sort of are like, oh man, I can get out there. And so the knowing your limits, I think is huge for all of us. Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. Let's, we'll do a little Name-a-rama.
Okay.
I'll start us off. Brandon Flehardy, 39, The Plague.
The Plague.
Ah.
Matt Willis, 40.
And it's
Right,
man. And that's hard to do if you've never tried it.
Takes a lot of practice.
Yeah. Well, to do it quick, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Farb has got it easy. He just puts the sunglasses on.
He claimed the sunglasses. He made sure that he had the sunglasses, so we had to think of a different way. I think Low Flow started that, and I was like, you know what, that's kind of cool. I'll keep doing it.
You could get Ray-Bans.
Yeah.
Because Farb has kind of got the aviator.
That's right. Yeah. So, but once it sticks, then you just got to keep going.
Is there a call sign or just the hand motion?
A lot of people have done 2020 afterwards.
20,
yeah, that's one of the happens most of the time. Yeah, or some other random stuff gets thrown out there. But 2020 is getting pretty stuck now afterwards. Yeah.
I love it. Well, appreciate your time today, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.